world, and welcome to Breaking the Boxes for Week 10 of the NFL season. Unfortunately, a losing week for the collective, who land a reverse body blow of 2-3 in Circus Sports Million, our first losing week since 3 weeks ago. So got to get off the mat, dust ourselves off, and pick some winners in Week 11. But before we do that, we got to jump into all of the games that happened on Sunday. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, I suggest you hop in the YouTube streets as well so you can see what I'm seeing. But if you just want to listen, go ahead and rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. We start with a very fun one, Texans 30, Bengals 27. This, unfortunately for me, goes over the total of 45.5. I had 47.5. I can feed my family with that closing value. Doesn't matter. Texans win and cover as road dogs in this spot. And CJ Stroud and them boys, 1.1 net yards per play in their favor. They do lose the turnover battle, including an absolute backbreaker at the end, which Donnie Peters in our Discord, bit.ly/DiscordMoose, if you want to get involved. He said, and I think this is a good take, it may be the worst interception CJ Stroud throws in his entire career. And I think that might be likely. An absolute backbreaker in a spot where, as you can see, they were 96% to win. Of course, they do get the comeback, do march down the field for the game-winning field goal at the end after the Bengals tie it. But it should have been a little easier than that. And I also maybe would have hit my under. So quite annoying there. The other, the two Burrow turnovers, interception here and then interception on an arm punt here. Those are also impactful. The Burrow long touchdown, where I don't know if it was a broken play by Chase. It was definitely great mobility. Again, Burrow back to full health, able to get that down the field. And then you've got the two fumbles here by the Texans, one by CJ Stroud, and the other by, was it a sack fumble as well? Yes, two fumbles by CJ Stroud. Both teams struggle on third down, specifically the Texans, 4 of 13. You'll want to see them clean it up, but still 544 yards of offense. Where they were really impressive, both teams fail twice in the red zone, but the Texans make 2 extra trips, which is very important. Running the ball, only 0.02 EPA per rush in this game for the Texans, but it looks like they found something with Devin Singletary. He looked kind of spry. He had a very long run in this game. And CJ Stroud is just making big throws. And you can talk about how the Bengals were missing T. Higgins. Stroud was missing his number one target as well in Nico Collins. So on the road, tough environment, a Bengals team that has just beaten 2 consecutive very good teams. They go out and they win outright. CJ Stroud, 0.23 EPA per dropback, better than Burrow, 0.09. The coin couldn't stop the rook. And I'm very interested in this Texans team. Now, the market is definitely giving them a ton of respect this week. -5.5, I believe, is the number that I saw most recently at home against the Cardinals. Let's see if they can do it as favorites. This is kind of a big boy spot. Can you go out and can you win by margin? For the Bengals, got to see them get healthy at the pass catching position. Chase did play, but outside of that explosive, he didn't look like Chase. Got to get T. Higgins back and Big Lou. Got to get this defense going because they're starting to be very leaky. I shouldn't say starting to. It's been 10 weeks, and they're one of the least efficient defenses in the league. And in an AFC with a murderer's row of quarterbacks and passing attacks, that's not going to cut it come playoff time. Lions 41, Chargers 38. I guess I'll underline it because the Lions get a push if you got it early in the week. If you let it get to 2.5 on Sunday and then bought it, congratulations, you do get the cover. This obviously flies over the total of 49.5. An absolute fever dream of offense in the City of Angels, as the Lions have a 2.1 net yards per play advantage. There's 950 yards of offense in this game. The teams are 7 of 8 on fourth down. Take that, all you boomers who say take the points. Red zone, perfect 3 of 3 for the Chargers. Lions 2 of 4. This really came down to who was going to get the ball last. The Lions do win the turnover battle, but it was early on enough in the game, this interception by Justin Herbert, that the rest told the story. Good job by the Chargers crawling back after going down multiple scores. Offense looked great. I don't know who I'm more alarmed with on defense. I think it's Detroit, because we kind of have known that the Chargers are suspect on defense all season, but the Lions really haven't shown to be this poor defending the pass. And that's something to store away in our back pocket for 2 reasons. Lions perhaps being a dead over team with how efficient they can be on offense. I mean, look at all this green. The Chargers come out and in true, Brett Colson's least favorite thing fashion, we get some negative running plays in here, negative 0.1 on rush plays. So they're not as efficient. It's a lot of purple in success rate here. Whereas all this green for Detroit. We know their offense is a wagon. They got their offensive lineman back when Goff is protected and he's inside and he's throwing to all these great targets. Gibbs back. Montgomery's rolling. This Lions offense is going to be awesome. But if they can't stop anybody, going to like some overs. And we're going to be hesitant to lay big numbers with Detroit. So those are things to stash away in your back pocket. For the Chargers, offense does what we think it can do, especially passing the ball. 0.5 EPA per drop back. Justin Herbert back on his bullshit, as the kids would say. But we can't trust them. We can't trust this defense. We know they're going to dump to Eckler a little bit too much. In spots where they're going to be laying points, we still need to be looking to fade the Chargers. They're road favorites this week, headed to Lambeau. I know the Packers stink. They really stink. But that's a lot of respect for a Chargers team that continues to blow it and never plays a complete game. Can't fault them here. Lions are kind of a wagon, but we can't be respecting the Chargers too much. So keep that in mind. Anything else pop out here? I don't think so. I mean, 10.1 to 8.1 yards per pass. Like I said, fever dream in LA. Josh Dobbs might just be the GOAT. Vikings 27, Saints 19. The Vikings cover as home dogs. This goes over the total of 41.5. The big story from this game is the Derek Carr injury, left with both a shoulder injury and maybe a concussion, although he passed protocol. Carr himself, straight from the horse's mouth, says he'll be back after the bye. New Orleans takes their bye here in week 11. Where do we start here? We start with yards per play, 1.1 in favor of the Vikings. Jameis comes in and throws 2 interceptions. He does throw a touchdown pass that Derek Carr never would, rolling in the wrong direction, throwing across his body, but then he also ends the game interception. I don't believe the second one made it on here. Josh Dobbs, man, just keeps doing it. 0.3 EPA per dropback. He does it scrambling. He does it throwing. TJ Hawkinson was kind of questionable coming into this game with ribs. He has 10 for 100 and a touch at halftime. I have put this in Discord. I put this on Twitter. I put a quarter unit on the Vikings to win the NFC North at plus 700. They're a game out right now. I know I just explained to you that the Lions are a wagon, but the way the schedule breaks, the Vikings don't play Detroit until week 16. They play them twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. So if the Vikings get Jefferson back at full health and are clicking like this on offense, and Kevin O'Connell is doing these things, I think 7-1 is just too much. I'm not going to sit here and bang the table and tell you that the Vikings are by far the best team in the division, or they're going to run away with it, or anything like that. Any other futures beyond this division future. But you're telling me 1 out of 7 times this team doesn't play even with the Lions for the next couple of weeks and then sneaks out 2 victories in the last 3 weeks of the season and head-to-head matchups with them, with Dobbs doing it and Jefferson back and the Lions not being able to stop anybody? I'm interested. And that's why I made the bet. And that's why I let y'all know. The Saints, I mean, we know what they are. Brett, Donnie, you can't be shocked when the Saints lose a football game. They're good. they're good. They're above average. Good defense, can do some stuff on offense, but laying points on the road means that you are very good, means that you're going to get leads and extend leads, and that's just not something this New Orleans team is built to do. I was a lone wolf. Unfortunately, I was correct because this was on the card. Browns 33, Ravens 31. Saw an unbelievable stat today where I believe there were 5 teams in the last however many years who have only trailed for less than an hour of gameplay through the first 10 weeks of the season. All of them are 10-0, or were 10-0, except for the Ravens, who are 7-3. They've lost 3 of those games, including this one. The Browns obviously cover as road dogs here. I unfortunately had Ravens in real life, -5.5. Was feeling good at 14-0, but it didn't come through. This goes over the total of 38.5. Where do we begin? Both teams have 2 turnovers. Both teams have pick sixes. Both batted balls, both bad decisions by the quarterback, both good plays by the defense. We've got long touchdowns here for the Ravens. A 40-yarder to Odell, a 39-yarder to Keaton Mitchell, who just looks like Barry Sanders, I guess. This blocked field goal was a bit of a red herring in the game. 94 was the win percentage at the time for Baltimore. Obviously only crept down 3 percentage points, but those 3 points loom large in the results of this game. 1.1 net yards per play in favor of Baltimore. 5 trips to the red zone for the Browns. Only able to score 2 touchdowns out of them. 1 of 2 for the Ravens. This is just a mind-blowing game where you're trying to find a reason why exactly did the Ravens blow this. The 2 things that stand out to me in an otherwise confusing box are that the Browns had 7 more first downs and were able to have the ball for 10 extra minutes in this game. And that means they were rushing effectively, 70 plus 70 in the rushing column. Some of that was Deshaun breaking pocket, which is interesting because the Browns were down very key offensive linemen, Jedrick Willis included. But maybe this is how Deshaun is going to succeed. Maybe he needs to play unstructured backyard football. It's what we saw in Houston for all those years. Deshaun making plays, breaking pocket, moving around, throwing the ball. Maybe, just maybe, even though I believe in Stefanski, I believe in his philosophy, I think he's done a good job with bad quarterbacks prior to this. Maybe he just needs to let Deshaun cook a little bit. Call some more rollouts, move the pocket a little bit, and let Deshaun get cooking. Because at times, this was the best that the Browns offense has looked. Now, the Ravens did lose, I believe it was Marlon Humphrey, right? In this game. Also lost Ronnie Stanley. So 2 key injuries there. Ravens really did not do themselves any favor in division markets, future markets by dropping this game. And the Browns showed signs of life on offense. I mean, a positive EPA per play, positive passing, although 42 success rate, makes you sound the alarm a little bit. But just to the naked eye, this was the best Deshaun looked at times. And that's something I'm interested in. Again, I think a lot of it was out of structure. So Browns, maybe we need to just introduce some chaos. I know that's antithetical when you have a good defense. Maybe you want to be a little bit more conservative, maybe more in structure. But it's 2023. You can't be the good defense, bad offense team. You got to score some points. Maybe this is the way to do just that. Kyler Murray's back. 25-23 in favor of the Arizona Cardinals. They cover as home dogs. This goes over the total of 43.5. Cards closed plus 2.5. Get the cover, as I noted. Minus 0.13 EPA per dropback on Kyler Murray, and it's mostly because of this interception where he tried to blow the game. He really did. I don't know if this was a player not sitting against zone, or I don't know. I honestly don't know what the principles are, because the crosser was underneath the zone, and typically in zone you want to sit, but when you're underneath the zone and haven't reached the zone yet. I don't know if you're supposed to extend. I don't know. It was ugly. It was a bad interception. Nearly cost them the game. But the Cardinals got the ball back, marched down the field, got the game-winning field goal, and honestly, +2 in net yards per play. Honestly, they were way better than Atlanta in this game. A little bit of red zone issues for Arizona. They failed on 2 attempts as opposed to just 1 from Atlanta. Both made 4 trips. What kept Atlanta in the game were these penalties. 112 penalty yards given up by the Cardinals. 4 first downs for Atlanta, including that massive defensive pass interference towards the end of the game. But again, Cardinals found a way. And with Kyler, I said this on the show, and I bet it in real life, +140 on the money bet line. Can I get a sounder here in breaking the boxes? Why not? I said if Kyler ripped off a run, looked spry, then this would be a live bet opportunity. I saw Kyler avoid a sack, roll out, looked like damn near full speed, and that's when I fired the bet. He looked like Kyler, which means he also missed some throws, made that bad interception. He's not perfect. We've definitely been detractors overall in this podcast during the Kyler Murray experience, but he looked like the quick, athletic guy that can make plays and at times can get the ball to his extremely talented, fast weapons. James Conner was back in this game as well. There's a big discussion on the Lines Discord about where the Cardinals should be power ranked, specifically with my fight New York Jets. I think the Cardinals, because of their passing attack, are definitely better than the Jets and would be favored on a neutral field. So I'm going to be interested in this team, especially if they catch some big numbers. This 5.5 this week on the road against Houston, I'm going to dig deep on that game because it's a lot of points for CJ and that offense to be laying so far. And if this offense for the Cardinals is back, then they're going to be backdoor kings as well, even if their defense puts them in some precocious situations. Seahawks 29, Commanders 26. An odd one in the Pacific Northwest. I should not be circling the Seahawks because the Commanders covered in this team. Late steam on Washington on Sunday as well, which is a winner. This one dropped as low as 5.5. That was still a winner. This goes over the total of 43.5. The Seahawks do outperform the Washington Commanders by 0.8 net yards per play. They do win the turnover battle as well, as Sam Howell has fumbled on a scramble in the third quarter. This one was confusing because, well, I guess it wasn't confusing because Washington landed 2 really big touchdowns. The 51-yarder by Brian Robinson and then the 35-yarder to De'Ami Brown, who heard me talking shit, evidently. The Seahawks do counter with a big K9 play. Kenneth Walker, 64 yards for a touchdown. On a down-to-down basis, I think it's quite clear that Seattle was better than Washington in this game, but it's Sam Howell. Sam Howell has explosives in him. Sam Howell connected onto explosives. One was more of a Brian Robinson doing all the work, but the other was a nice throw to De'Ami Brown. I think Seahawks backers can be frustrated about this one and not getting the cover. I think that's fair. But I also think that Commanders money bet line backers, as I looked for the sound, are not going to play it again, might be frustrated as well because this was everything that you hope for when you bet Sam Howell on the money line coming into this game. Seattle struggled on high leverage, 4 of 14 on third down. Both teams a perfect 101 on fourth down. However, yeah, 2 offenses that did their job. Seahawks continue to struggle as big favorites at home. That is something that is certainly worth monitoring. But it was nice to see their offense at least get back on track. Geno to avoid the turnovers, get the ball to Lockett, get the ball to Metcalf. Lockett took a big hit, went into protocol, not full protocol, but was in the blue tent for a concussion check, but then came back and obviously scores that touchdown. Yeah, you can tell I'm kind of flummoxed by this game and what to take away from it. I don't think my opinion changes much in either direction. We know the Seahawks offense can be potent, and when Geno's kept clean, they can put up some points. We know the Commanders, when Sam Howell doesn't make a ton of mistakes, can score points and be interesting. I will say, although they gave up 29 points, the Commanders' defense has not been as much of a sieve as anticipated with the loss of Chase Young and Montez Sweat. And if ever there was a spot for that to come home to roost, it's a tough one all the way across the country playing against a Seahawks offense with tons of talent across the board. Now, you're probably yelling at your device right now. They gave up 29 points, Rich, but I don't know. 6.6 yards per play? 0.12 EPA per play. I don't think that's all that awful against a Seahawks team that is quite talented on offense. So I don't know. I'm befuddled by this Commanders team. The Sam Howell experience. I've said that he's the whack-a-mole player, and he's just really hard to cap for. This next week it's a fascinating spot. I've gone ahead and bet Commanders team total under 23.5. as they play host to the New York Giants. I want to get involved somewhere, somehow, because they're laying 10 against the Giants team that is obviously awful with DeVito, but I want to get involved somehow with Sam Howell being the double-digit favorite in pro football. And to me, I think the best angle to take there was team total under, hoping for some Sam Howell turnovers in that contest. Bucks 20. Titans 6. Bucks cover. This steamed up to 2.5. Doesn't matter. Get the cover. Goes well under 39.5. The Will Levis experience rolls on, and it's a bumpy one for the kid on the road. The Bucks are plus 2.1 in net yards per play, even in turnovers in this contest. The Will Levis interception is the most impactful play in this contest. Levis couldn't get anything going. And it's funny because he was better in terms of success rate than he's been. 40, still not good enough. But he didn't hit any of the big plays. Negative 1.9 EPA per dropback. And you're absolutely going to need Will Levis to hit the big plays if he's going to have any success in pro football. The Bucks, Todd Bowles, you can say a lot of bad things about him. Stop running the ball on first down. I don't know how many times I got to say this. Negative 0.28 on early rushes. It is sinking your possessions. The Bucks could have won this game by 40. Again, please fix it. Rant over. Bowles knows what he's doing on defense. He schemed it up. Titans were absolutely just suffocated in this game. Didn't really have a chance. And if the Bucks had played halfway decent on offense, they would have won this game by an even larger margin. So this was a spot for the Bucks. Definitely not going to be looking to run to the window and bet the Bucks a lot of times because of how inept overall their coaching strategy is. But at home against a rookie quarterback who doesn't really know what the hell he's doing, with no weapons outside of DeAndre Hopkins, this was a beautiful spot. Let's see if the Titans start to lose some respect in the market. Let's see if we can catch some big numbers, because Levis can make big plays. He can get the ball downfield. They just need to do it. Let him loose. And the bad plays might be coming. Again, biggest play in the game here was a Levis interception. But they got to let him fire, because that's the only way this Titans offense is going to have any success. Steelers 23, Packers 19. The Steelers cover as 3.5-point favorites at home. This goes over the total of 37.5. An infuriating watch for the collective who had the Steelers on the card, giving up chunk plays the entire game to the Packers, who have a better net yards per play here, 0.7 in their favor, but it's 2 interceptions from Jordan Love, including 2 into the end zone, 1 in the very last play of the game, which ended. He did get an explosive 2 read here on the touchdown. Steelers, man, negative 0.06 EPA per dropback against a Packers team struggling to get to the quarterback. No Jair Alexander in this game. 4 for 13 on third down for the Steelers. Jaylen Warren was pretty much the entire offense for Pittsburgh. Big runs. 205 rushing yards in this game. He looks tremendous. I comped him to Curtis Martin in the Discord. He doesn't do anything phenomenal. He's not the quickest. He's not the fastest. He doesn't have the best moves. He's not the strongest. But he always makes that one cut. He always gets out of one tackle. Gets that little burst enough to get the first down. He's just always doing it. But it's 2023. We got to throw the ball. We got to throw the ball with success. And I don't like that the Steelers were giving up chunk plays to Jordan Love, who's not good. So I'm very wary of Pittsburgh. They a lot of voodoo by Tomlin here. They're not out gaining their opponents in any of these games that they're winning. And I fear that they are a house of cards, kind of like I was calling for the Jets a couple of weeks ago, that is primed to collapse. They go on the road, division game to Cleveland this week. Cleveland is -3.5. It's heavily juiced on Pinnacle right now in favor of Cleveland. But somehow it's only 105 down here in Florida. And before the pod, I almost fired. I'm staring at it. I'm trying to get involved. Just like I tried to get involved fading Washington because they're such big favorites against the Giants. I'm trying to get involved on Cleveland this week because I don't believe in the Steelers team whatsoever. And if their defense isn't getting stops, generating pressure, they're in trouble because Kenny Pickett negative script is not a pretty sight. The Packers, they stink, but again, very interesting spot this week as home dogs against a Chargers team that is definitely a paper tiger. Do you have, watchers, listeners, fans, the intestinal fortitude to back Jordan Love? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there. Slobber knocker time. Niners 34, Jags 3. Niners cover whatever number you got, whatever alt you got. This goes under 44.5. 3.2 net yards per play in favor of the Niners. And they fail on 3 red zone attempts. 1 of 4. 4-0 in the turnover department. Here we go. We've got Lawrence interception. We've got Kirk fumble. We got Lawrence strip sack. We got Lawrence interception. You guys know the drill. When you lose the turnover battle at this margin, you're not going to have success in pro football. Niners, 4 of 12 on third down. Again, 1 of 4 in the red zone. I don't see it from Purdy. I really don't see it from Purdy. He was 0.39 per drop back here. Obviously, a lot of that was that huge play to Kittle. Here we go. 5.4 EPA on that play. Use check uncovered too on that 22-yarder. But I don't think that's Purdy. Jags just kind of sleptwalked through this one. Off the bye, at home, just got pasted. But are the Niners, again, one of those teams that just lines up tomato cans and knocks them down? Are the Jags a tomato can? Or did they just sleepwalk here? I don't want to buy all the way back in on the Niners. All the numbers are telling me that I should. Before this game, in this game, 0.28 per play on offense. They're telling you, come back. It's the Niners. We're going to be double-digit favorites again this week against the Bucks. Come on, buy back in. We're going to smash all these teams. But Purdy was just Purdy in this game. And the backburger looms. It was nice that they had all their weapons back. Debo was great in this game. I wish that end around was a pop pass. I had his over 44.5 receiving. Makes a great play. Gets into the end zone. But Brock Purdy, man. He's going to be the conundrum until they either hoist the Lombardi this year or lose in the playoffs. It's going to all come down to Brock and whether or not you believe in him. And I just don't know if I can. Jaguars, I'm going to sound a bit nutty here, but I'm willing to give them a little bit of a pass here in a spot where I just don't think they showed up to play football. We saw that from the Lions this year. They went to Baltimore. Again, this was a home game, so you don't expect it, but Lions just completely no-showed in a game. but they've shown since, they're the Lions. They're still a good team. I thought the Jags defense actually looked good in this game too, other than those 2 broken plays and them just being terrified of Trent Williams on that Tebow end around. I mean, we had guys running away from getting blocked from Trent Williams. I thought they tackled and rallied well. Might be a spot to buy the Jags off this game, getting embarrassed at home next week. I'm leaning in that direction. Colts 10, Patriots 6. I mean, what the hell do we say about this game? Colts cover as 2-point favorites in Germany. This goes flying under 42.5. It goes flying under the live total of 38.5 that I got. I think the Patriots should have covered this game, guys. They won net yards per play, albeit by 0.1, but it comes down to red zone. They were 0-4, missing 30-yard field goals. Colts 1 of 1. And I've been saying it all year because of their tight ends. The Patriots are one of the best red zone teams in the league. They were 4th in red zone efficiency coming into this game, but they just blow it down here. Whether it's something Zappy or something Mac Jones, they absolutely blow it. That Mac Jones interception to Gesicki was just, it's one of the worst throws you'll ever see. But I guess it's Mac Jones and it's to be expected. Zappy has the fake spike nonsense. The Patriots should have covered. If you had a Patriots ticket, you had the right side. But I don't advise, I just don't advise putting real American dollars on this New England team. Colts do win the turnover battle here with a pick from Minshew. A pick from Mac and a pick from Zappy. Minshew did have a pick in this game. Yeah, I would not be rushing to bet Minshew as a favorite anytime soon again. I would not be rushing to bet the Patriots again anytime soon again. I do feel for you if you had a New England ticket. Colts are a team I'm really much looking to fade in every possible way. Minshew is a bad quarterback. This defense is just average at best, and there's just some public sentiment around Minshew that elevates their lines just enough. So I think we'll be presented with some opportunities to fade them and make a bit of money here as we close out the season. Raiders 16, Jets 12. Somehow these idiots steamed the Jets to favorites by game time, -1.5. Guys, look at this purple. Look at it. Look at all the purple. The Raiders weren't any better. They actually were worse on a down-to-down basis. But they were home. How can you bet the Jets as favorites in this spot? How can you bet the Jets as a pick'em? I put an X next to the Jets, but I hated it. I hated it. And the box is going to tell you the Jets were plus 1.4 net yards per play. They're going to tell you they won the turnover battle. You know what it comes down to really is penalties. 60 net yards of penalties for the Raiders. And it wasn't one of those where they were getting first downs because the defense for the Jets was committing penalties. They only got 1 first down. It was every big play the Jets made was brought back because of a penalty. You got Garrett Wilson. Why would you call a pass play for a receiver who just was out with his elbow getting worked on? I don't know, but it was a perfect play. It was there. Garrett drops another deep post. Garrett drops a potential touchdown. Left pylon. Zach backbreaker when it matters most impactful play of the game. Oh, this Jets team. They stink. You can't be the good defense, bad offense team and have success in this league. At least the Raiders are getting the ball to Jacobs and Adams. And the Raiders were having to do it against a great defense. The Jets defense is great. So the Raiders offense was at least presented with resistance. The Raiders defense is god awful, and DBs were falling left and right. The Jets are horrific. And one of the first bets I made this week, I put 2 units on Dolphins -9.5 next week here in Miami against the Raiders. Banged up Raiders defense going across the country. How are they going to stop Miami off the bye? Dolphins defense is going to be the healthiest it's been all season. Jalen Ramsey fully integrated. We know Miami drops all these bad teams, beats them by infinite. The Jets had 1.4 positive net yards per play. The Jets with Zach Wilson. What are the Dolphins going to do to this Raiders team? It's going to be ugly, I think, in Miami. Speaking of ugly, let's get the hell out of here. This is going to be quick. Cowboys 49, Giants 17. I mean, DeVito scored multiple touchdowns. Jets, come on. Cowboys go over the total themselves, 39 and a half. This was like when college teams play homecoming and the Citadel comes and they're trying to get their guys Heisman votes. What was this? Why was Dak in the game in the third quarter? Why was CeeDee Lamb in the game in the fourth quarter? 5.2 in favor of the Cowboys. I mean, it's just a joke. 16 more first downs. 0 of 12 on third down for the Giants. 640 yards of offense. It's a joke. 6 of 7 in the Reds. It's a joke. It's a joke. Cowboys, great. Congratulations. You beat something, DeVito. But I need to see you beat a real team. I need to see it. I don't know why I believe in Miami more than Dallas. Maybe because I've seen McCarthy blow it too many times. I've seen Dak blow it too many times, and I've yet to see McDaniel and Tua do it. I mean, blow it in a high leverage spot in the playoffs. They've lost to 2 good teams on the road this year, but I've never seen them do the things that McCarthy and Dak are capable of doing. And for the Giants, what's the buy point for this team? I mentioned it earlier. They are 10-point dogs going to Washington this week. Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders have a -10 next to their name. What is the buy point? I didn't have the stomach to do it. Again, I played Commanders team total under. But if ever there was a buy point in this market, it would have to be now. Very interesting week coming up. Multiple double-digit favorites. This is a league of haves and have-nots. Will be very interesting to see how the market treats these massive favorites, what movement there will be. Very interesting. I'm very interested this week. It could be very bloody for a public that wants to 3-team tease, 10-team teaser, big parlay, these big favorites, and maybe get hurt that way. But it also could be very ugly for the books, where, again, in a league of have or have-nots, is it possible that some of these double-digit lines are actually justified? We'll see. Week 12 on the horizon. We'll bring you the card on Thursday. Till then, peace out.